Mika Newton, who is the CEO of xCures. xCures is an AI-supported clinical study platform for advanced cancer. So an expert in technologies and novel tools to bring about new changes in healthcare. So with that, Mika, I'd like to hand the podium to you.
Thank you so much, Jess. And what a fantastic presentation. I learned just a whole lot. Wonderful presenters, great discussion. So this is the Innovator Showcase, and I'm here to talk to you about xCures and our patient-centric precision oncology platform. My name is Mika Newton, as just mentioned. I'm the Chief Executive Officer. I've been involved in this program now for coming on just, I guess, about 2.25 years. So what is xCures? xCures is a technology platform that empowers advanced cancer patients and their physicians to identify the best possible treatment options, to consider those options, and then based on whatever they decide, to track their outcomes longitudinally and continuously learn in real time. So the users of the platform are patients and their physicians, and what it enables is for continuous capture of real-world evidence, regardless of the program or the program type that's being offered in the platform, whether that be standard of care, off-label, someone's going to a clinical trial, participating in an expanded access program, et cetera. But we are capturing directly from the patients and physician encounters and their medical records, continuous data, real-world evidence about what's happening, and we're using it. So how did we come about? xCures emerged from a nonprofit called Cancer Commons. Cancer Commons set out to solve the problem for advanced cancer patients, which is just really difficult to figure out what to do when you have advanced cancer. And the healthcare resources are limited. So if you find out you have a cancer diagnosis, and I think anyone does this, we all go home and Google it, or any patient does, and the information is very difficult to synthesize. And then it's very difficult to go into your physician and have your physician, because they're busy, be ready to discuss your case. Cancer Commons solved this problem as a nonprofit by putting a PhD level cancer biologist as a patient advocate and doing the research for the patients so they would be ready for their encounter with their physician. Do that. It works incredibly well. Over a decade, they helped over 10,000 patients. So about 600 to 1,000 patients per year. So what we set up when we built xCures was to take that resource limited and constrained, really, in terms of its scalability approach, and operate it at a large scale. So hundreds of thousands of patients per year. So the patients we focus on are advanced cancer patients. These are patients who have exhausted the standard of care, who are caught late in their diagnosis, so there is no standard of care, or who can't tolerate the standard of care. They generally have less than a 50% chance of 5-year survival. As you can imagine, these patients are scared, they're confused, they have an urgent need to find innovative therapies. They want help in understanding what the best option is, and they're really, they're desperate from a time perspective in terms of finding something to do to help cure their illness. On the flip side, we know the oncologists are overwhelmed. There's 1.7 million new cancer diagnoses every year. There's only 13,000 oncologists. ASCO themselves estimates there will be a shortage of over 2,000 oncologists by 2025. And you can imagine a lot of this is driven by demography. One of the primary risk factors for getting cancer is getting older. And there's really not much that any of us can do about that. It's a very complex space. So I want to play for you just a quick video of a patient who used our, actually a patient's caregiver who used our platform. And then I'll give you a couple of anecdotes and I'll share with you how we actually do what we do.
When you go from place to place, they don't have access to each other's network. It's ridiculously challenging to share medical records. But it's my information and I want to give it to you. I'm just so happy that you guys are doing this. Compiled it in such a beautiful way, such a readable, easy format. And I gave that document, it was sort of like a chronology of his treatments. And when I gave it to the researchers at NIH, they said, "Did you do this? What is this? This is beautiful." They loved it. They wished every patient had it. It made their job so much easier. It made my job so much easier. The shift was pretty immediate in the way the doctor treated me and considered my questions after I worked with you guys. And I do feel like Dr. wanted to be the best doctor he could be. He just didn't know what research is out there. He knows the standard of care, but he doesn't know the new things that we could try off label. And he was interested in learning about it, but didn't have the time to figure it out on his own, because why would he? He's triple booked for every appointment. And I know there are a lot of patients who don't have the technology, the money, the cognitive resources to compile all of this. It's hard at a time when you're sick and scared. It's a hard thing to do even when you're healthy. And it's going to help so many people in so many ways. And I want to make sure that you guys know how thankful I am that you guys are able to do that.
But we've had a number of patients with really impactful stories on our platform. For instance, we have a pediatric midline glioma patient who was an exceptional responder to a product called ONC201, which was available on our platform via an expanded access program. This is a child who was in a wheelchair, was no longer able to go to school, and is now 3 years later up and running around and playing. Still is, has the diagnosis, but looks to be in stable condition. We also have another expanded access program we're running with a novel ERK inhibitor on our platform. We have an exceptional responder. This is a lady who had metastatic melanoma, was going to hospice care, and is now, after her last surgery, disease-free. So these types of responses happen, and they're hugely impactful to patients, and we want to share that knowledge and information from those as quickly as possible. We all think about trials and studies and clinical trials, but you heard it today in the discussion, many people are not eligible for these studies. So what happens, and where is the opportunity to learn from everyone who doesn't go into the study, including the expanded access programs? And so we've built the xCures platform to essentially capture all of that data via a technology pipeline to do that. So just in summary, let me cover the 3 technology pieces we've built. So all patients coming into our platform are enrolled in a pan-cancer registry called Excelsior. Under that, the patients sign a participation agreement and informed consent, and part of that is a HIPAA release to gather their medical records. We get those as unstructured PDF from any treatment facility in the United States, and we've developed the structuring pipeline to structure that data very efficiently into formal CRFs. So we have source documentation and a full, GCP compliant protocol and quality management systems, and then we end up with structured data in our EDC, so it's suitable for regulatory and research use. That is done continuously and longitudinally for all the patients. We have a master catalog where we keep essentially all of the possible treatments that we could imagine or know about. Currently over 10,000 possible treatment options in oncology, where treatments are multifaceted: surgery plus IO plus targeted therapy, et cetera, et cetera. Every treatment option has clinical and biological rationales and access mechanisms, where if you take a patient perspective, access could be standard of care, it could be off-label with or without reimbursement issues. It could be through a clinical trial, that's an access mechanism. It could be via expanded access, right to try. We truly try to be holistic. And then our core IP is actually the recommender engine. So the tools that take the constellation of parameters that we get from or features of the medical record and prioritize what in the catalog is the most important thing for patients to be aware of. And that really happens on 3 levels. Number one, there's a AI-driven topic model, natural language topic model, that is essentially like high-dimensional inclusion-exclusion criteria. Directly below that is predictive modeling. So we use a Bayesian predictive approach to try to rank possible treatment options. And then we have a technology platform underneath that, again, not knowing what to do, we can essentially arrange pop-up or asynchronous tumor boards using what amounts to a HIPAA-compliant Slack instance to enable physicians to discuss the patient case. Please come to our website, www.xcures.com. You'll find it right there. Rachel really paints the picture beautifully of what it means to a patient to have the help to navigate and understand what the options are that are out there. And at xCures, we are committed to learning from every single one of these patients and using that to benefit all of us. Thank you, Jess.